Hi, I'm Miss Tainter from Brandt Elementary, and today we're going to read Rosie Revere, Engineer. This is the story of Rosie Revere, who dreamed of becoming a great engineer. In Lila Greer's classroom at Blue River Creek, young Rosie sat shyly, not daring to speak. But when no one saw her, she peeked in the trash for treasures to add to her engineer stash. And late at night, Rosie rolled up her sleeves and built her highway under the eaves. Alone in her attic, the high moon above, dear Rosie made gadgets and gizmos she loved. And then she grew sleepy, she hid her machines far under the bed where they'd never be seen. When Rosie was young, she had been not so shy. She worked on her hair swooping over one eye, and one fine invention for aunts and uncles, a hot dog dispenser and helium pants. The uncle she loved the most was a zookeeper named Fred. She made him a hat to keep the snakes off his head, from parts of the fan and some cheddar cheese spray, which everyone knows keeps pythons away. And then when it was finished, young Rosie was proud, but Fred snapped his knee and chuckled out loud. He laughed and he wheezed, and his eyes filled with tears. To the horror of Rosie Revere, she stood there embarrassed, perplexed, and dismayed. She looked at the cheese hat and then looked away. "I love it," Fred hooted. "Oh, truly I do." But Rosie Revere knew that it just couldn't be true. She stuck the cheese hat on the back of her shelf, and the day after that, she kept her dreams to herself. And that's how it went until one autumn day. Her oldest relation showed up for a stay. Her great-great-aunt was a true dame who worked at a building in Plains long ago. She told Rosie tales of things that she had done and goals had checked list by one. She gave a sad smile as she looked to the sky. "The only thrill left is on my list is to fly. But never imagine lingers as long as it seems. I'll chalk that up one day to just an old lady's dreams." That night as Rosie laid wide in bed, a daring idea creeped into her head. She built the gizmo to help her aunt fly. She looked at the cheese hat and said, "No, not I." But questions are tricky and some hold on tight, and this one kept Rosie awake through the night. So when the dawn approached and the red streaks lit the sky, young Rosie knew just how to make her aunt fly. She worked and she worked until the day was half gone. Then she hauled the cheese copter out onto the lawn to give her one invention just a test to see the ridiculous flop it might turn out to be. Strapped into the cockpit, she flipped into the switch. The helicopter cheese copters spiraled and they twitched. It floated a moment and whirled around and round, and then froze the heartbeat. It came crashing to the ground. Then Rosie heard laughter and turned around to see. The old woman was laughing and slapping her knee. She laughed and whizzed, and her eyes filled with tears, all the horrors of Rosie Revere, who thought, "Oh no, never, not again. But I will try to build something to spurt or spin, to build with a lever, a switch, or a gear. I will never be a great engineer." She turned around to leave, but then great-great-aunt Rose grabbed hold of young Rosie and pulled her in real close. She hugged and kissed her and started to cry. "You did it! Hooray! It's the first perfect try. Your great flop is over. It's time for the next." Young Rosie was baffled, embarrassed, and perplexed. "I failed, dear Rosie. It's just made of trash. Didn't you see it? The cheese copter crashed." "Yes," said her great aunt. "It crashed, and that's true. But first, it just needed to do what it did. It crashed, Rosie. Before that, it flew." "Your brilliant first flop was a raging success. Come on, let's get busy and on to the next." She handed her a notebook to Rosie Revere, who smiled at her aunt, and it all became clear. Life might have its failures, but this was not it. This only a true failure can come if you quit. They worked until the sun and they sneaked away to its bed. Aunt Rosie tied her headscarf around Rosie's head. And then she sent her to sleep with a smile ear to ear, to dream bold dreams of a great engineer. At Blue River Creek, all the kids in grade 2 built gizmos and gadgets and hoodookies too. But with each perfect failure, they all stood in cheer, but none quite proudly as Rosie Revere. Thank you very much.